call the meeting to order. I'll note that there are only 3 members present. A couple of members have apparently been delayed. So I'm going to just call the preliminary matters, asking whether there is public comment that is going to be offered this evening. No public comment has been proposed. We have no minutes to approve. And there is no old business, no new business. And so now I will go off the record and wait for a couple of other members. But I saved that 30 seconds. Back on the record, we still have only 3 people here in person, and that is not sufficient to establish a quorum for a voting meeting. And so therefore, I have to continue this case until next Thursday, which is August 8th, 2024, to be held in this room, the cafeteria upstairs, 3500B, to be held in room 3500B starting at 6 p.m. Fortunately, I'm not able to conduct any other business this evening. We have one member who is one seat of the board that is now vacant, and then one member present by Zoom, again, not sufficient to establish a quorum, and then 2 members who are uncharacteristically and unusually absent. So fortunately, we're not able to conduct business this evening. With that, I have to adjourn the meeting. I apologize for the inconvenience. I will say that you are all able to participate by Zoom as well on the 8th, and this will be the first. We have another hearing scheduled that meeting, but this will be the first item on the. I changed my mind.
Sorry, my apologies.
No problem. Okay. When the music stops, take a chair. I'd like to indicate that we now have 4 members present in person and 1 member present by Zoom or telephone. So I will declare that there is a quorum present, and we can undertake the business agenda of the meeting. The first item on the agenda. Oh, yeah. So the first item on the agenda is to permit Mr. Schultz, who is present by Zoom, to vote by Zoom. A nicety that we don't observe for non-voting meetings, but may I have a motion to permit Mr. Schultz to appear and vote by Zoom? Motion by Mr. Moran, second by Mr. Ketter. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next item is Mr. Daniels' case, which is 2402, the Pinnacle at Myers petition. Mr. Daniels has requested a continuance, this time for 60 days. So do we have a proposed date for if we grant that continuance? Can I continue to a date specific?
That would be October 3rd.
October 3rd, okay. So I invite a motion to continue 2402 Pinnacle at Myers until October 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. in room 3500B. Motion by Mr. Ketter. Is there a second to that motion? I'll second it. Motion by Mr. Moran. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposed? None opposed, the motion carries. I now have two items where the petitioner has a request to withdraw. Those are 24-044 and 049, Overdale Inc. and Falcon Point subdivision respectively. That's our custom to vote on the request to approve the request to withdraw and then dismiss the case for further action. May I have such a motion? So moved. Motion by Mr. Ketter, second. Second by Mr. Moran. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. The motion carries. We now have the first substantive item on the agenda, which is the consideration of text amendment T224. I don't think I have to recuse myself from this, but my dear aunts are quite fond of reminding me that when I was born, my grandparents lived in Elmhurst and had goats. The goat barn was converted to has been described to me as a cute goat house where I lived for the first 2 years of my life. So I have some sympathy for this petition, for this text amendment. A lot of changes since that time, I'll note. Which is that GOAT is now an acronym for people like Paul and Simone Biles and others. Now, having said that, I'm addressing that portion of the text amendment which deals with accessory dwelling units. Again, I'm supportive of this, but I was very much persuaded by my own sense that there is great value in public hearings to flesh out the details of various zoning cases. I was very much persuaded by the testimony of those who spoke about this text amendment. And I believe that this provision should be restyled as a conditional use rather than come to us as an amendment which would permit the accessory dwelling units as a matter of right. Again, I don't think any of us knows how many properties within the county might qualify for treatment here. But I think they should be addressed on a case-by-case basis. Again, there is great value in hearing from the neighbors to any proposed accessory dwelling unit that is to be converted from some existing building on the property. And so this may be a little bit more policy than clarification of the language of the text amendment. But I think one of the changes that should be made to this text amendment is that it be styled as a conditional use. Then we can put conditions, we can, qualify it, we can hear from neighbors as to the particular impact of the particular property at issue. And then the next thing that I think is important and taking a cue, my own sense of what practically works. And again, from the testimony of neighbors, is that we need to do something to protect against transient housing. And what I think works is to require within the conditional use structure that the proposed accessory dwelling unit be occupied for a minimum of 6 months pursuant to a valid lease. So rather than overnight or short-term housing units, if the matter would come to us under a conditional use, one of the qualifications, not conditions, but qualifications for each instance would be a 6-month lease rather than overnight, something as short as overnight or a week. Uh, 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 Brief period. So those are some thoughts that I have about how this text amendment might be revised slightly and recommended to the county board in that manner. If others feel differently, please, and I'll jump in and I'll pass the microphone to anybody that wants to speak. Saying nothing.
And no, your comments have changed how my standing. Your comments and making it a conditional use on those the dwelling part, has changed my opinion on it. 6 months, I guess, I tried to look for a year, but 6 months is better than, however you want to do it.
Well, the final determination will be made by the county board, of course, and my notion of 6 months is maybe just a way to get the conversation started. They can go to a year or 6 months or 9 months or whatever. I would hope they would not go less than 6 months. And they make a final determination if they would permit consideration of this requirement at all. Again, it would not be a condition to be imposed during the course of a public hearing. It would be a qualification for the requested conditional use and automatically, part of the process. So those are my thoughts. The other, I'll say for the record that the text amendment also addresses this electric vehicle thing, charging stations for electric vehicles. Didn't have those in the goat house. And then the what is euphemistically called a flag lot provision. I don't have any comments on any of those. Do any of you others have comments on those provisions of the proposed text amendment? Well, then may I invite a motion, assuming that you're supportive of the text amendment, may I invite a motion to approve the text amendment as revised in accordance with the remarks that I made, and we'll leave the wording of those provisions to be developed by our staff. So moved. Motion again by Mr. Ketter, second by Mr. Moran. Any discussion on the motion? This time we'll ask for a roll call motion, please.
Member Cutter,
Aye.
member Moran,
Aye.
member Roman,
Aye.
member Schultz,
Aye.
Chairman Carthel.
Aye. The vote is 5 in favor and none opposed. So we'll go forward to the County Development Committee with that, with a recommendation for approval. There's no other business to be considered this evening, so I think we're prepared to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, folks, for attending, and you will have an opportunity to address any comments that you may like to make in connection with the text amendment to the County Development Committee. You can get that schedule from our staff. Yes.
May I ask just one question? Do you need my name? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rose Quincy, Kuntze. So you have approved the text amendment as it exists or after revisions are made? Do you have to look at it again after the revisions are made for this conditional use?
No, because part of the motion was to leave the drafting of those provisions to our staff. We don't have to have it back.
But so how do you know it's what you intended?
Because it's customary for us to leave drafting to the staff. And then it goes to the development committee for consideration. They'll have this record and they'll understand our intent from the dialogue that we've had at the meeting. And then they will, take whatever action they feel appropriate.
So in effect, the amendment cannot change, may not change at all before it goes to the development committee? Or are you saying it must change before it goes to the?
No, all I'm saying is that our recommendation to the, all we do is make a recommendation.
Okay,
Our recommendation to the development committee is that they approve this text amendment as is with revisions to language to accommodate the 2 points that we discussed at this hearing. Again, they'll have a summary of that information. They'll have access to the transcript and they will review, you know, the language of the proposed text amendment. This is essentially a policy thing. So we don't make policy, we recommend. And they will evaluate it. Now, having said that, you may, if you choose, have more influence than we do as the matter proceeds up the chain of command, because you can comment to the development committee, I think in writing certainly, and possibly in person at their recommendation meeting, and you can get the schedule and timing for that from our staff. I don't know that.
so so I don't know when the next development or this development committee meeting would be. So when would that revised text be available to the public? To make
Work with the staff on that. They'll make it available to
the
you.
staff meeting, Jessica?
Yeah, Jessica or Paul, whichever. Okay. You're Ms. Kunze,
Kunze.
and you commented fairly extensively at our public hearing.
I did. I'm with West Wind Homeowners Association.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. Well, we stand adjourned for the evening.